fine. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mahoning County Board of Elections. Today is Wednesday. It's about 8:15 a.m. This meeting is called to order. Deputy Director McCabe, please call the roll.
Ms. Winbush? Here. Mr. Monroe?
Here.
Mr. Wasco? Here. Attorney Beatrice?
Present.
And Tom, thank you for acknowledging Joyce's absence. We wish her the best. We understand she's unexpectedly spending the night, or spent the night in the hospital last night. Hopefully we will see her soon. The primary purpose of today's meeting is to certify the results of the November general election. And step one, Mr. McCabe, have we concluded the scanning, the opening and scanning of the late arriving absentees, military and overseas, and Yuba Cabo voters? Have those all been processed and scanned?
They have.
So they're ready to be added to the official count.
That's correct.
Our next step is to determine the validity of provisional ballots. And we're going to start by,
Mr. Chair,
I'm sorry.
before we start our meeting,
Pardon me, Ms. Winbush.
we are a government entity, and our nation and our democratic process is really under attack right now. And we were blessed to be home or wherever we wanted to be on election night by midnight. So can we stop and, our director, she's in the hospital right now. I've gone through COVID, Mark and his wife gone through COVID. We've lost some people through this COVID crisis. Things are shaking up. So can we just take a moment, for a moment of silence, say a prayer, and then say the pledge and unity, and then go back into our meeting?
No objections. If you could all just relax and take a moment and reflect on the many blessings that we have received, and and thanks for our good health, and best wishes for those who need help and comfort in these times. Thank you. If everyone would rise, please, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Winbush.
If you'd like to start?
Yes, let's first of all start with those provisional ballots that have been reviewed by the staff and have been found to be valid.
That's correct. We have 887 voters that changed their address on election day, 2 bins, and they found to be valid and need approved. Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that those ballots be opened, scanned, and added to the official count. Deputy Director, call the roll.
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco? Yes. Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Along the same lines, we have 11 that they changed their name and their address, and they're deemed to be valid.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that those ballots be opened, scanned, and added to the official canvas, to the official count. Deputy Director McCabe, call the roll.
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
We have 1,089 voters that were sent an absentee. They didn't return their absentee, or the return of their absentees is voided, but they voted provisional on election day. And those are valid.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion to open, scan, and include in the official canvas those 1,089 ballots. Please call the roll.
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
We have 99 ballots.
Just one moment, Mr. McCabe.
Oh, thanks, Chairman.
coming to life.
Thank you.
You good? Mr. McCabe?
All right, the next grouping is 99 ballots. There were voters that showed up on election day. They were registered voters, and for one reason or another, they weren't in our poll books, or the poll books couldn't find them. They voted a provisional ballot, but they're valid voters that should have voted a regular ballot on election day, but they didn't. They got.
Why weren't they in a row?
Either the poll book couldn't find them. The books, we went through those electronic poll books. We found everyone in the electronic poll book that voted of these 99.
But you did find them?
We did find them.
Yeah.
So,
Human error?
human error, 6:30 in the morning, some of those happened, were
The driver's license weren't scanning, or they entered the names wrong, or?
correct. Don't forget, we had 35% of our poll books were brand new this time because of the call-offs and COVID. So we had over a third of our staffing on election day that were brand new to this process. So there is errors that happen out there with poll workers, and that's understandable.
But having a third of new staff and what we went through was really good.
Yes.
We had very little problems, really.
We'll get to those.
All right.
Is there a motion to open,
So
scan, and
moved.
include in the canvas these 99 ballots?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Winbush,
Yes.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Mr. Wasco.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
And then we have 41 provisional ballots that it was a simple name change. So they came in, we got their name changed or updated, and they need approved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that these ballots be open, scanned, and included in the canvas. Mr. McCabe, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush,
Yes.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Mr. Wasco.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
We have 4 bins pending approval. The first is the H. Philip Randolph Institute lawsuit. They deleted voters, but they were deleted after the date that's required. And we have, how many of those in? 116 of those.
So moved.
And those registrations are now updated and they're back in the system for another 5 or 6 years.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that those ballots be included in the official canvas. Mr. McCabe, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
We have 1 voter, they registered as a 17-year-old, 18 on election day. They got pushed into a provisional, so that vote does count.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that this 1 vote be included in the canvas. Mr. McCabe, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
We have 153 voters that moved to Mahoney County for election day. They were registered in other counties in the state of Ohio. We did verify they were registered in those counties, and we did verify that they did not vote in those counties. So those are valid.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Wasco, second by Mr. Beatrice, that these 153 ballots be included in the canvas. Mr. McCabe, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
The next category is 37 votes. It was poll worker error. They voted in the correct poll location, but voted in the wrong precinct. So it's a right church, wrong pew situation.
And they did not complete the Form 12D or?
Correct.
Right, that was,
But those 37 do count.
yes.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to add these 37 provisional ballots to the official canvas. Director McCabe, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
All right. 51 voters that were deleted voters. They didn't make that deadline for the April Randolph Institute lawsuit. We will get them up in the registration current, but since they missed that cutoff point, those 51 votes will not be counted, but they will be registered from this point on.
Is there a motion to reject these 51 deleted voters?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. McKay, call the roll.
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
No.
We have.
Would you like to discuss this, Dave?
No.
Okay.
3-1 vote.
Very good, okay. Mr. McKay,
We have one provisional envelope, incomplete, there's no information whatsoever on the envelope at all. We know it came from 6F, but we don't know who the voter is, or
a blank.
it is the blank, and there's a ballot included.
So moved.
Is there a motion to reject that ballot?
So moved.
Is there a second? Mr. Beatrice?
Yes.
Mr. McKay, call the roll.
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
We have 4 voters that moved from another state into Ohio but didn't register to vote prior to the deadline. We voted them provisional, we updated their registration, those 4 are now registered in Ohio, but we can't vote voters from other states.
Motion to delete.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to reject those 4 provisional ballots. Direct. Mr. McKay, call the roll.
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
We have 5 ballots. Well, we have 5 provisional envelopes. There's no ballot in those envelopes. And there was no reason given. As we talked to several poll workers, what's happened, and this happened in other elections, they come in and vote provisional, they drop those ballots into the scanner, it says return to the envelope. And so we found that all 5 are valid votes to begin with, so they're valid votes that can cast already at the location, but
I moved to reject. So,
Well, there's nothing to reject, there's no ballot.
what,
yeah, there's no,
what you gotta, I moved to not count.
How can you count something that's not in there?
yeah, I don't think any motions needed.
Well, I think a motion just to reject those 5 provisional ballots would be
There
better.
are no.
There's no ballot, but yes, there's no ballot.
Yeah,
They're-
There's no ballots, the people vote, and all 5 of those did vote?
they did vote.
So there's no action.
On election day, but they were all valid voters.
Now, will we hold on to those ballots? Oh, sorry, or hold on to those
We'll
envelopes?
hold on to the envelopes, of course.
And we'll classify them out, so if there's any questions.
If there's any questions, these 5 voters we have.
There's no action.
How did we know they were empty, or were they sealed?
Oh, they're sealed.
Or we just know the,
Yeah.
there's
You
a
can
plot
tell
of
by
yellow
the
envelope.
way and looking through them. You can tell right away when there's a ballot in there or not.
So this was all done at the
Polling locations.
polling location?
Foreman 30, Foreman 30, Foreman 22, and North Benton, Avoid. Very similar, you know, these were voters that came in and the ballots were placed in the DS 200. The poll workers remembered, they told us they voted provisional, and the voter went and dropped them into the DS 200.
So no motion there either.
Same thing. We probably could combine those 2. Okay. All right, we have 11 provisionals with no signature. If you'd like to look at them, we tried to contact the voters, we made phone calls, if they were emails, we sent emails, they had that 10-day cure period. And how many did we cure? Quite a few, right? That they came back in and sent us information. These 11 we could never get hold of.
Move and go.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to reject those 11 provisionals without signatures on the ID envelope. Mr. McCabe, call the roll.
Ms. Winbush,
Yes.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Mr. Wasko.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
We have 6 voters. They voted in the wrong county. They formerly lived here, they registered in another county, and they came back here to vote. But their current registration's out of county.
So they were,
I'm looking
They're
at
not
validation.
registered in another county.
the wrong church. wrong
Did they vote in that
and-
other county?
Now,
And wrong county.
How do we know they didn't mean to move back to Montgomery County?
current address is Akron, former address is Youngstown. So even on their provisional forms, they're telling us that their current address is Middle Ridge, Trumbull County. Current address is Trumbull County. Some of these people actually probably work in Mahoney County, travel through Mahoney County, and they feel they can come and vote. There is confusion with voters out there. When you're dealing with 166,000 voters, 6 of them thought they could come back into their former county and vote, but on their,
This is sort of common, we have dealt with this almost every election.
yeah, and they're telling you the former address is Youngstown, the current address is Akron. And then we checked with Summit County, and they are registered there, but they didn't vote there.
So there's nothing wrong with this, just can't.
Motion to delete?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to reject these 6 provisional ballots voted in the wrong county. Discussion? Mr. McCabe, call the roll.
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasko?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
No.
And there's nothing we can give her, right? We have 36 voters voted in the wrong polling location, wrong precinct, it's that wrong church, wrong pew.
Were they told to go to another polling location?
That was part of the training that, we tell them, and actually, when you call those voters up, that actually prints out on that ticket where they should go. A lot of times voters just refuse to go. And we saw that St. Michael's a few times when we talked to them, that voters were coming in, they didn't want to go back down to Metroparks. They were there to vote, they waited in line, they're gonna vote. And so the instruction is, you don't turn voters away, but you have to instruct them that they're in the wrong location.
Were these all with 12D forms attached in this case, or?
No.
And most of them are throughout the county, so there's not one location that we can even say. the
What was that
poll
form you were
workers-
requesting, Mark?
Well, so we don't know if this was poll worker error or not, then do we?
Yeah, we contacted the election official too, and they said they did tell the voter to the correct polling location.
Well, what's this form that's supposed to be attached?
10D, 12.
I think unless the form is attached indicating that the poll worker provided that direction,
We should count it.
I think those are to be counted.
But here is where it's showing you. And that's the strip where they should have voted in the correct polling location here. So that's why we pulled those, just to show you.
Let me see.
Okay.
And here's,
Is this the form you're talking about, Mark?
This right there.
No, this is the form I'm talking about. This is the form.
Well, the ones that have the form, I say we reject. The ones that don't have the form, I say we count.
My understanding is we can refer back to the election manual if we want to take a minute to do that. But how many of these have the Form 12D attached?
on your copy.
Well, we do a breakdown real quick, we'll move
Yeah.
on and give us a breakdown real quick. Attached.
I can-
Okay.
We'll do it that way.
We'll come back to these.
12 voters that voted absentee, voted at the polling location. At the same time, they had returned their absentees to us.
They had or had not.
They had. So we haven't marked that these voters have actually cast 2 ballots.
That's against the law.
It is, and we've contacted some of these voters, and they said, no, we sent the blank ballot back, but they never put void, because they were instructed to put void on those envelopes or on the ballot itself. I know Chris and me with scanning, we came across a lot of blank ballots this time, because those scanners, the high-speed scanners, will kick out blank ballots.
100 of them to be exact.
Was it 100?
Yeah, I remember being here, going over them at the resolution board.
Yeah. So most of these voters said, I returned this, that they had written void on it. Now, our staff in the back could have missed that void, put the ballot in. None of the voters, they talked to all of them, thought they voted twice. They all thought they returned a blank ballot to us or a voided ballot to us. So I don't think we have anyone intentionally.
Well, that was gonna be my question. Is there anyone that we can ascertain whether they intentionally voted twice?
So we know that, we know the intent of the voter, that they intended to send a blank ballot back.
Correct, a lot of them said, we sent a blank ballot back.
And we
It
have
doesn't
that-
matter. Doesn't matter if they send a blank ballot back there. They have to write void on it or rip it up.
Right,
If they send a blank ballot back, they voted blank.
that's correct. It is considered voting blank ballot.
And just because they said they voted blank doesn't mean they voted blank.
Right, it doesn't. A lot of confusion this time with what was going on out there with the delay in the mail, with the 50,000 absentees we did by mail. 12 is a higher number than we usually have, but of course it is because we voted, 20-some thousand more than we usually.
Of course, those 12 ballots have not been counted, they're sitting on our desk.
Correct, so they really, right, that's a good point.
They
haven't-
voted,
They voted an absentee, but their second ballot's in here.
yeah, no.
So, right.
Right.
Right, thanks for that clarification,
Yeah.
that's, yeah.
But I have to tell you, election day, I pulled into my polling location, and I remember I voted absentee. Because it was so, for me, it was so long ago, I pulled in, I'm thinking,
I can see how people can do
Yeah.
that, especially some elderly people. I
Yeah.
can see how they can think and then they say,
Especially our elderly people. Bob.
that's I hear, I understand.
but you didn't do it. I move we do not count those ballots.
Well, I have a question. What is the precedent that we've done in the past with that? Since we don't usually have as many.
Well, there's been few cases in the past where we referred them to the prosecutor's office because we thought the intent was to try to game the system. We don't feel it that way this time. Everyone's been pretty upfront with us of what happened, the confusion that was out there. They did get 2 ballots into the system.
Only one
Yeah,
counted.
not one, and it might have counted blank, so they get their vote, they get the credit for voting, but most likely their vote is probably a blank ballot.
You don't know that.
But we don't know.
We don't.
We
Still doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Motion to delete.
So moved.
There's a motion and there's a second to reject these 12 provisional ballots. Mr. McCabe, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush,
Yes.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Mr. Wasco.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes,
We have 6 individuals that voted what's called a federal ballot. And the federal ballot it only contains the office of presidency. It's for those overseas Unicaba voters that still have citizenship in Ohio, that they live out of state, out of country, and they can vote a federal ballot, so there's no local races on it. These individuals came from out of state, and I know 3 of 6 for sure, we voted them a federal ballot with the intent of getting them out of the office, because they don't want to leave, you always have to get deputies involved at times. So we voted them a federal ballot, provisional, knowing that they weren't registered in Ohio, we can't find them, we don't know if they're registered anywhere else in the country. We did check their registrations, and none of them were registered in Ohio. One husband and wife came from Pittsburgh, but they live in Philly. She was told she could vote in Ohio. And So we said, well, voter was federal ballot provisional, we'll check into it. And it gives us that 10-day window, just to make sure that the voter's not being.
I move that they not be counted.
Did we actually have an example ballot with only the presidential contest on?
Yeah, I can have Chris print one out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good, okay. There's a motion and a second that those 6 provisionals be rejected. Mr. McKay, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush,
Yes.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Mr. Wasco, Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
Then we have 279, it's our largest pile, they're not registered. They were never registered, they're not a deleted voter, they're not registered anywhere in the state of Ohio that we can find.
But they now will be.
They now will be, but they showed up on election day without registering. And the good news is they will be
They will be registered for the
registered, but
for this time.
not for this time.
So I know that we invalidate those.
And usually that's our biggest pile every election is the not registered. It's just in the presidentials we do a lot more.
Especially this year.
Second.
There's a motion and there's a second to reject these, Mr. Wasco. The 279 provisional ballots cast by voters who are not registered. Mr. McKay, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
There's only one, we take that back. This is only one,
Okay. Oh, that's only one?
that's only one.
Oh,
Okay, we checked the basket for what's ever left in there, and the only one that has the 12D form is just this one person.
Well, my motion is we count the rest of those ballots.
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
So we'll have to,
Add those.
let's make 2 motions, one to delete that one and one to count the 35.
I think we can do one motion.
Okay.
Well, is there a motion to invalidate the one provisional ballot that has a Form 12D attached to it?
So moved.
Second.
Secretary, Mr. McKay, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Okay.
And then is there a motion to accept and add to the official canvass the remaining 35 ballots?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. McKay, call the roll?
Ms. Winbush?
Yes.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr. Wasco?
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice?
Yes.
Very good.
Very good.
At this time,
How long will it take you to count and process them?
Oh, we have to get them all open and flat and then scanned, we're hoping, we will be done by 1 o'clock. That's what we're
So we're gonna-
We just
doing.
need it one?
Yeah, I think that's on the agenda.
before we recess, we've got a guest here this morning. We're glad to accept public comment at this time. Mr. Riddle, would you like to address the board?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Greg Riddle, 7825 Lee Run Road, Poland, Ohio. I find it a privilege to be here and want to thank you for your civic duty. I appreciate very, very much having been employed by the Board of Elections the past 15 years. I've learned a lot about the process. I was here a year ago in a election that came down to 1 vote. If you remember, Eleanor Zediker and Ms. Annie Colucci were separated by 1 vote on election day. So I was made the president of the Poland Board of Education in January 2020 and have had to serve in a community where Annie Colucci campaigned for having the superintendent of schools move along. And Eleanor Zediker, on the other hand, I did an evaluation. She evaluated him as the finest superintendent in the state of Ohio. So I can see how election results make a significant difference in our life. And to say that this year in Poland, the location on Clinton Road, the provisional supervisor did not show up. So at 10 minutes to 7, I was asked to serve as the provisional supervisor, and I experienced some of these things that Mr. McCabe has brought up today. I had a voter come in at 7:29, minutes before closing, could not go through the poll book, and had to vote provisionally. I gave him the instructions, we filled out the yellow form, I signed that. I said, when you're finished voting, fold the ballot in half, put it in the envelope, tear off the white tape, return the envelope to me, and I'll give you this pink sheet of paper with instructions on how to validate your vote. He returned the yellow envelope to me unsealed. I said, you have to seal that, sir. He said, there's nothing in there. I said, where's the ballot? He said, I went to the person on the floor and asked them, what should I do with the ballot? They told me to put it in the DS200 scanner. So the other thing Mr. McCabe brought to my attention today, we had new computers this time. The computers are programmed a lot differently than the computers that the Board of Elections had presented poll workers with in the past. We had a tremendous amount of frustration locating people. If there is a space, like a McAllister, MC capital A, if it's MC space capital A, it was very, very difficult to find that worker in the poll computer situation. So when he brought up the fact, I think he said, I forgot, 51 people or so. I made some notes here, but anyways, there were people that were in the poll books that had to vote provisionally because the poll worker with the computer couldn't locate that person. There were times we took the time to call the Board of Elections. We had a spouse there that we were able to find without problem. We got the other partner. We couldn't find them at all. Finally, they said, put a space in there. Sure enough, we were able to find that voter. One of the other things that I noted, because I didn't do training as the provisional supervisor, so I was just relying on past experience. I lost my train of thought. The fact that they validated at the computers with their driver's license or a form of identification. Then when they would come to the provisional supervisor, I made an assumption, and I realized after the fact that it was false. When it came to asking for their social security number or their driver's license and writing it on the form, I assumed that because they had permission to vote slip, that was done. So I felt bad. I said, hey, did I cause extra work for the people at the Board of Elections because I failed to fill out the form completely? And so in the training moving forward, I think that should be discussed with us, the poll workers, when we come to training. The other thing that was interesting this year, the board has agreed to pay us $20 to do training online. In the past, we were able to use a username and a password, and you got a receipt that said you completed the training. This year, there was nothing of that involved, and I had to call the board, say I completed the training, will I be paid the $20? They said we had a mix-up, we had a problem, and we didn't have that username and password attached, so we're just taking the word of those who call in and say they completed the training. So that situation, So I appreciate all that you do, all the time that you give to the situation. I think that 2020 has made election in this country change forever. This new thing that I hear about throughout the United States of mail-in balloting is something that's new to me. I've been accustomed to absentees forever. I've learned that in other parts of the country where polling locations are 100 miles away, that people have been mail-in balloting for years and years and years. But kudos to the state of Ohio, to Secretary of State LaRose, to Mahoney County, for at least being able to get the early voting count into the scanner and have results at 7:35, instead of it being weeks and weeks later, like we're seeing, throughout the country. And I just thank you for being part of that conversation and communicating. I find that my life experience, I was intrigued with the Supreme Court this year. Mrs. Bruner was elected to the Supreme Court. I had the privilege of having lunch with her as an officer in the Rotary Club of Boardman. She addressed our youth exchange program, and she sent me a lovely, lovely thank you note. It's one of my personal trophies. I appreciate the fact. And then to learn that she's now on our Supreme Court. And it was with mixed emotion because I did campaign for and support Mrs. French, a local resident of our Tri-County area. So it came with a little mixed emotion there. And the other thing I wanted to say, we have Chairman McCabe. I would have addressed Chairman LaPresta also, is the fact that they encourage debate in this community. I find it interesting that we had a race for county commissioner between a young Republican, Mr. Williams, and Mr. Traficani. I had the privilege of shaking hands with Mr. Williams, and I am an elected Republican precinct committeeman. Mr. Williams asked me for my support, and I said, sir, I am an elected precinct committeeman. I have an obligation to share with my constituents what you stand for. I said, with all fairness, I have known you 5 minutes. I said, I've had the privilege of knowing Mr. Traficani for 40 years. I said, he supported me in an election for Board of Elections. I said, there's a little sense of loyalty there. But I said, I appreciate you participating in the political process. And I know Mr. Traficani well enough that if you have something that's of value to Mahoney County, he would like to know about it so that those things that are important to you, we can implement in this community. So I appreciate your participation in the process. And those of you who endorse conversation in the process, I think it benefits us all. So, and too often, we as politicians get into the personal destruction of others, which I think discourages the process of communication, collaboration, what works best for our community, and what solutions can we have. I commend,
Can I ask a question?
maybe I've spoken too long.
You made some notes, and I took some notes. Can you write down some of those those things that you saw and then submit them to Joyce and Tom so that we'll have, because there's a lot of knowledge there,
Yeah.
especially over the years and the tenure that you have as a precinct committee person and even being elected to office. And if you could actually send like the training for the provisional supervisor and what we need to do, and as far as the stuff that was done online, this year we were on. It's a good thing we got paid. If everybody got a check from the Mahoney County Board of Elections, then the work was processed. We did really good because these people in this place danced on a dime. They made things. We were home in bed by midnight.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you, and I appreciate the people that are here and all the people that made this operation in Mahoney County. Every precinct committee person, every person the poll people, and what you guys did on the front line was overwhelming. To have 1/3 of the force being new. So I appreciate you and what you've done, and we need to come together and communicate more, because I think what we've done here in Mahoney County, it makes us shine.
Right.
And you guys must be doing a good job out there, because I got no complaints
That's
about
what
the
I'm saying.
location. Right.
We're doing good.
Yeah, I have a list of locations, you're not on it, so.
That's, I mean,
yeah.
so what I'm saying is, with the people on the front line, for the people that came out that morning, those people that showed up and people like you, and we need to hear from you. But Joyce is not here, and she is the brains, and has been. Tom is the brains. You saw what happened today. Those things, we sit here and you saw the governance here. We need to change them, but I need you to write them down so they'll have them.
With all due
If they
respect,
don't have
is our
them, they'll-
conversation being recorded?
Yes, sir.
And it's being filmed?
Yes, sir.
I'd be glad to write the notes for you, Tracy, but
That's
it's a
right.
matter of public record.
That's true.
Thank you, Mr. Ruler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your time. Thank you for,
I'd like to make a comment.
Mr. Beatrice.
would you like to respond to me or just to the
No,
board?
comment in general.
Okay.
I was very dismayed that I watched poll workers get abused throughout this country. And I found it disgusting that poll workers were harassed. These are people that are not getting paid well and worked under very arduous circumstances. It didn't happen here, but to the places I saw it happen, my heart goes out to them because I know what it's like. And I want to further say as someone who has a son serving in the armed services, the fact that we had a historic turnout warmed my heart. And it really made me feel good that the American public came out in such huge numbers. You know, this is the largest votes that any presidential candidate has ever gotten in the history of our country. And the largest turnout ever in the history of our country. And I just find it encouraging that that's how democracy works, when everyone participates in it and everyone is engaged in it. So, and I want to thank our staff. You know, like Tracy said, we got out of here at midnight. I felt bad for those workers that couldn't start processing those.
And when I say it, it's not because it's not wanting to be here. It's because you guys, the people in the system that they put in place throughout the state of Ohio, throughout Mahoning County, here at the leadership, you guys, they did something remarkable when Mahoning County results were in.
Yeah.
And our staff, not the board, but the staff, they were leaving out, and we were here at the last bit because the job was done. What a testament to good organization of diligence. And I know a lot of things fell down in the back room, but these guys picked it up, and I'm so proud of this staff.
Right. And I want to give major kudos to Ken Blackwell. He's the one that initiated this system over 20 years ago.
So,
And he's a Republican. But he's the one that said,
would you say?
He's a Republican.
And let me say this, one more. You know what we did? We are the most diverse county, and you see us walk through here, this table right here, we don't agree on anything. And I wish the country would see us, because right now, we get it right.
Yeah.
All right, I want to interrupt this, this discussion for just a minute, because we need to revisit. We approved 35 ballots that were in the wrong shirt or wrong pew. Some of those might have to be remade, Tom, we should double check.
Yeah, they're gonna check right now, I told Ann.
Okay, so they are.
So we're gonna
they're
stick
take a
around
look
and
at
see if
those,
any.
because they can only obviously vote for the issues or the candidates that they're eligible to vote
That's
for.
right, yeah.
Why don't we
we've done
stick
that
around and
before.
see if there's any ballots that need to be remade, or do you want us to come back at 1 and do that?
No,
I think,
yeah, I think if they need to be remade, they will be remade, just because they can only.
No, what I'm saying is, these people that voted provisionally, we might have to have a resolution board on some of the way they voted, because they didn't get to stick it in the machine where the machine would kick it out.
We can do that at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
If it happens, it would probably just be a handful, and they can be easily added back to
as
the.
long as our reports are in by 2 to the state, we're good,
Right.
basic deadline. Hey, Mark, under unfinished business, I think John Kennedy wants to say a few words.
Yes, Mr. Kennedy, we've heard some rumors about you, Mr. Kennedy.
Correct.
Please step forward.
I'm here to actually tender my resignation and to thank the board for allowing me to work here. It's been a wonderful experience.
Where are you going?
We've heard
I'm
some,
actually
not far.
not far. I'm still in the county. I'm taking the job I did technically twice a year now to protecting everyday consumers, every day 360. I'm working weights and measures down in the auditor's office. So I'll be checking gas pumps and scales and county fair scales, and protecting both the consumer and the.
Well, good for you, and thank you for all your years of
And we
service.
missed you.
But I also stay on and help any way I can in elections. I'll
Well, I
take
wanna know
vacation.
when the COVID's over and we go to the conferences, who am I gonna hang out with? for
Well,
God's sake?
He's coming.
Never say never. I'm gonna be Nancy Colucci.
Now, I do have a question.
Yes,
We got some machines out here that we practice some stuff that you and Tom and them have put together. Am I
Correct.
correct about that?
Well,
We can still leave
Sure.
it, right?
Well, now wait a minute, because those machines have to be now renamed. They will now become the John Kennedy Memorial.
Memorial ballot
press.
press machine.
Yes.
You've been an asset, John, we appreciate you.
Well, it's been a pleasure to work for you guys. You've all been very kind to me, and I'll miss you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
14. I'll still be around for life. I'll still be around.
And you tell Ralph Dees to quit taking out your employees.
All right.
Well, thank you.
That's the second one.
Who else was that?
Alex Mangy.
Who?
Alex Mangy. Alex Mangy, tall guy,
Well, he resigned a couple of years ago.
he still went to the same office.
We were saying Ralph stole two of our
Employees.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman, I just,
Mr. Wasko.
and maybe Tom could enlighten me on this, I was looking at the information only on the absentee and ballot ballots, undeliverable ballots. Was that where, they just didn't return? Or could that be,
Where we at?
last page? We didn't have to vote on these were information only. Undeliverable ballots, 123.
Means whatever address that they sent to us and we sent the ballot to them, kept getting returned to us as an undeliverable address.
I see, okay, okay.
And,
The
you know,
yellow stickers.
yeah, they come back to the post office and then, you know, we make that attempt. The girls out there do a great job. I mean, they do. Contact those voters to try to get the address right. And it's just sometimes it just never works out. So we end up with 123 undeliverable ballots. Now, some of those will come in on that Sunday and Monday, postmarked come on Tuesday, postmarked Monday. We can't deliver those anymore.
Right,
So,
right, right.
but the voters are still notified that it's come back to us.
Do we have a rough number of how many absentees that were not returned?
Chris will break that down once the.
Once it's,
officials,
okay.
yeah.
I was just curious on that, that's all.
I make a motion that we recess until is 1 o'clock gonna give us enough time?
One other point of old business first, Mr. Beatrice. Did we get confirmation from, I mean, Joyce is retiring?
I think that's coming from Joyce. I think, you know, Joyce has a few things she needs to take care of, and I think Joyce will be back to the audit, knock on wood, and I think that's maybe that Joyce can address that. At the end of the day, that's, you know, her decision, and that's what
But
she
you
did.
didn't sign it.
There,
Well, you weren't here.
we did have a discussion, if Joyce does in fact retire, there is a requirement that we must advertise for the position in the, it's Directive 2019-26. When there is a vacancy in the position of director or deputy director, the board shall advertise the position for at least 1 week in the newspaper of largest general circulation in the county. And boards are also encouraged to place notices in the electioncenter.org and electionline.org. But we do need to talk about the audit.
Right, we plan, if it's okay, as item number 3, that we can draw those names at 1 o'clock.
We could. I would also like the board to consider that we conduct a risk limiting audit. That's something that the Secretary of State recommends we do.
What's a risk limiting audit?
Well, it's basically a process where ballots are drawn randomly from a sample, and there's a statistical analysis that's done. It's becoming really the state of the art for conducting audits in the country. It's been discussed in Columbus for a number of years. And I just raise it as a point of information. I think at some point that's the direction we need to go in. The Secretary of State has complete program, but it was developed by Cuyahoga County. I think they've developed a complete, basically a set of instructions for how to conduct a risk limiting audit in Ohio. But again, I just raise it as a point of information. I've got no objection to our doing a traditional audit, and we can certainly be prepared to draw those those at 1 o'clock. But I wanted the board to at least be aware of that, that is an option, and it's something worth considering at some point. But with that, if there's nothing else, we will stand in recess, and we will reconvene at 1 o'clock. Well, a fine good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome back to the Mahoney County Board of Elections. This board is back in session. Mr. McKay,
Yes.
have we completed the official canvass at this point? Have
We
all of the
have-
ballot provisionals been added back to the official?
They have, and the totals are in front of you.
Were there any issues that came up during the certification process?
Yeah, that's been pretty smooth this time. Doesn't look like there's any recounts to be had, so we can go straight to the audit.
Very good. Is there a motion to certify these final, official, complete results as official?
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Beatrice, second by Ms. Winbush. Any discussion? Mr. McKay, please call the roll.
Ms. Winbush,
Yes.
Mr. Monroe,
Wow.
Yes.
Mr. Wasco. Yes. Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
One of the things we are required to do upon certification is to set a time and date for the audit.
That's correct, and we're ready, Joyce, Susan, me, are ready to draw the names. We decided we're gonna do the audit, by polling location.
Polling location.
And we have three options: polling location, precinct, or by machine.
Yes.
And, I think we intermingle our ballots by location. Location would be easier for us. Susie, you wanna bring up?
It's right there.
Okay.
If you just call them out, I'll let you know what they are.
How many?
When are we doing this?
We
Well-
need 5%.
We're gonna draw one at a time, and then we have to estimate whether we've reached 5% of our,
Yeah, we always draw a little extra just in case.
draw one.
$137.
What?
Boardman Township Government Building,
Oh, I see, we just pick numbers and then you tell us what they are.
Precincts are in there.
Three there.
there's three.
Okay.
So she crosses the numbers to the polling location.
Usually we pick precincts, but this is a different way.
Yeah, last year we actually did this on the governor's race, since we started using any machine, any ballot at the polling location.
Let's see, here's, number 74.
St. Michael's Family Life Center, and there's eight? Seven?
How many is that so far?
Which have,
Just draw a number and follow.
we did about 15 to increase our this is 5%.
So we already have 15.
We'll talk
At
about
10,
that.
and we're at 10 right now, 3 and 7. We need Boardman Township, we need another 7 or 8 more.
14.
14 is St. Edward's Church,
It's three.
taken three.
We there yet?
And one more probably.
93.
93 is Tabernacle EP Church, that's 5. Four?
That's it, right?
And that's a good spread too, Boardman, Canfield, Youngstown, Austintown.
That's good.
We got
Uh,
enough?
And then we need a local race, a countywide
Oh, that's
race.
right. But we are required to audit 3 races, the presidential race, the Ohio Supreme Court race, term beginning January 1, 21. And then we need to select one countywide race. I was just gonna suggest, because the closest race was the probate,
We can do probate.
and I just suggest because it was the closest. But
Anyone have any?
We got probate, I don't care what that is.
Good, we will include in the audit, we will audit the Mahoney County Probate Court race. You're required to set a date for the audit. The audit can happen no sooner than 8 days, no sooner than 6 days after certification, no later than 21 days after certification. So we have to have it done by December the 9th. Our December regular meeting is going to be set for December the 8th. I would suggest that might be a reasonable date.
Can it be done in one day?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
How many is that? How many meeting?
It'll be our regular December meeting date then.
We'll just need to extend it. Will we leave and then come back? Is that how that will work, or we'll be here?
No, you leave and you come back.
Okay.
It's gonna take 3-4 hours, get them all counted, 3 races, 15 precincts, 73% turnout. Yeah, it's gonna take a few hours.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you want me to do now? Pick another number?
Nope.
You have a total of 17 vice chairman.
Okay.
You know, as I discussed earlier, I raised the possibility of conducting a risk limiting audit as opposed to doing the more traditional method that we typically use. I've reached out to the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections for their information packet about doing risk limiting audits. But given that Joyce is down right now, I understand that Chris may have to go into quarantine. At least we have an option. We randomly selected precincts. We couldn't do the traditional audit that we've done in the
Let's
past.
just do traditional right now.
But
Thank you, David. Is that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
I don't think we'll leave that.
yeah, it's I think it's going to be helpful to look into it because that is the procedure recommended by Columbus, and I think it could actually be easier and faster because you don't have to. It involves fewer ballots, but I would
I do
describe
like
it.
this though. I like
These
that we're
are important.
picking the locations rather than the precincts. I sort of like that.
Yeah, that's going to work out well.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have. Is there any other business to come before the board this afternoon?
You mentioned Chris, is he okay?
His wife's quarantined right now, and Chris has to be tested, and he might be done with quarantine.
Okay.
But he's stayed in his office all day, no one's been around him all day, and he's probably gone by now, he's on his way out.
Very good. Very good. Our next meeting will be set for 8 a.m. Tuesday, December the 8th, at which time we will conduct the audit. And,
December the 8th.
December the 8th, 8 a.m.
That's good.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. Please express our appreciation to the staff for getting this done in a timely fashion.
And Joyce.
And Joyce too, absolutely. We hope to do that. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'm so moved.
Second.
Mr. McCabe, call the roll.
Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Anybody? Mr. Monroe?
Yes.
Mr.
Yeah.
Wasco?
No, I'd like to go by funeral director Wasco.
Funeral
since you called
director.
him. Yes.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We are
Is that
adjourned.
your official title?
What, he goes by, why does he go by?